Thank you, Amber. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, wanted to thank everybody for coming out this morning to dedicate the next segment of the Emeryville Greenway. We will also finally refer to it as Peladeau Park. And we have a combination of events here this morning. We have some people we want to introduce who've really helped make this day possible. And we have some people we want to thank. And then we have some amazing art behind me and down along the wall over here. And we're going to introduce Joey Rose from Joey Rose Studios and talk a little bit about our mural project here as well. So let's get started. And my first remarks are I just want to kind of set the context for our conversation today about the importance of the Emeryville Greenway to our city. So in 2000, the city of Emeryville had just 6,800 people. And as of today, we have about 12,000 people. So in less than 20 years, we've almost doubled our population. And we've done that by being innovators in land use. And I want to thank the Community Development Department, and Charlie Bryant is here. I'll be thanking him again later. There he is in the back. We've really turned a city that was, some people would say rotting, and I use that affectionately as the rotten city, rotting at its core, an industrial space into a livable community that is focused on transit-oriented development and merging the proper uses of land, housing, transportation, environment, and mixing in a little bit of our own culture and art into a community that we're creating today. And so we're going to celebrate that a little bit. And the first person I want to introduce is Nova Blaget. And Nova is from the EPA. She's the senior project manager at the EPA, and they were a huge supporter of the work we do here. She works on brownfields work in the East Bay area, and I'd like to invite you up to say a few things to start.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So I'm happy to say that I rode my bike here today, which is fabulous. And I live in the city of Berkeley. And my favorite part of the ride is when I cross the border with Emeryville. So the Greenway is fabulous. So the program that I work in, it's our brownfields program. Most people don't know what a brownfield is, but in our terminology,
Can you hold the mic up to your mouth?
Sure. In our terminology, brownfields are property that might be contaminated. And so our job at EPA is to help clean up that dirty dirt safely so that it can be redeveloped. And as Mayor said, Emeryville's done an amazing job. So we are proud to partner with the city on this particular project. We contributed $500,000 to help clean up contamination from former railroad use here. But this is not the first project that we've partnered with the city on. And so in fact, starting in 1996, when EPA launched our brownfields program, and it was because a whole bunch of mayors got together and said, we've got this dirty dirt problem. So the city of Emeryville has, since 1996, received $4.7 million from EPA. And that's a great number, but if you think about it in terms of redevelopment dollars, that doesn't really sound like that much. It is from EPA, but what's really amazing is what the city of Emeryville was able to do to leverage that $4.7 million into hundreds of millions of dollars of redevelopment in terms of partnerships with public and private entities to create new housing and commercial spaces that are all built to the highest environmental standards, and including projects like this one. So we are super proud to be a partner on this project, and congratulations on your accomplishment.
Thank you. So the next individual I'd like to invite up is Art Dow, and Art is the Executive Director of the Alameda County Transportation Commission. I have the privilege on behalf of the council of representing us at the Transportation Commission, and that's a place where the city competes in some cases and is granted by voters through other measures we've had regionally the opportunity to pull down regional transit monies to do projects that improve all kinds of transit, including active transit. And today is Bike to Work Day, and we are really happy that we could have this event on Bike to Work Day and dedicate a new pedestrian and bike space. So I want to invite Art to come up and talk a little bit about the city's partnership on transportation and the future that we have together going forward. Thanks, Art.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Art Dow. I'm the Executive Director of the Alameda County Transportation Commission. Hey, listen, I'm super happy to be here today representing the entire Alameda 22-member Alameda County Transportation Commission Board to celebrate with you this good project in Emeryville. let me tell you this, it takes a really strong partnership and effective leadership to get this project plan funded and then delivered. You just hear a little bit about how it's funded. And Mayor Bowders, you actually ensures that your work on our commission result in partnership that helps solve many of our regional transportation problems that impacts Emeryville. You guys at a crossroad, small city, 16,000, 12,000 people, but you get a lot of traffic going through here, regional traffic going through here with I-80 and the bridge and so on. So I just want to make sure I say congratulations to the city of Emeryville, City Council, and Mr. Mayor for getting this project open. I think you're adding actually a good part of quality of life to not only the city of Emeryville, but to this entire area, Berkeley, Albany, this northern part of our county. So let me just say that I like to say many times that transportation impacts everything that we do every day. And projects like this remind us that, you know, the work is really worth it. I know that it takes a long time to get things like this done, but that's truly worth it. Look at the kids, listen to the kids playing in the background there. That's just amazing. We are very excited, particularly about this park, because the completion of this last segment of the Emeryville Greenway gets us closer to the construction of the South Bayfront Bridge over there, that direction.
Yeah, we look forward to that.
We're going to go across the freeway. It will be funded by local dollars, your dollar that you decide to tax yourself in November 2014 under Major BB. This is the voters-approved countywide transportation sales tax program. So I'm happy to say that we are actually going to help you, the city of Emeryville, fund a significant piece of infrastructure that is non-motorized. So the South Bayfront Bridge project will construct a 227-foot-long steel pedestrian bicycle bridge over one of our favorite company in the country, Union Pacific Railroad. I said that.
I can't say it.
Okay, yes, all right, I can say that. Between Horton Landing Park and the east end of the Ohlone Greenway, with a pedestrian connection to the parking structure at the Bay Street development. So the good news is we anticipate, things are moving pretty fast in government these days because of funding. We anticipate beginning of the construction of this bridge project later this year, 2018. I want to tell you there's another exciting result of our regional partnership in the recent recommendation by the California Transportation Commission of $4.5 million in SB1 grant funds for the rail safety project in Emeryville that can lead to quiet zones here in the city. You know, again, somebody already mentioned $4.5 million of state funding is not a whole lot of money, but this is one of those projects, is a down payment to beginning to improve the safety between pedestrian cars and the rail traffic. You see 60 trains running up and down this corridor every day, and this $4.5 million is the beginning to address some of the rail safety problem here in Emeryville. So I'm happy, again, congratulations to the mayors. He worked very closely with us to our Goods Movement strategy, and it pays off. In the very short time that you're on the commission, less than a year, and he's bringing home the bacon already. So good for you. So again, the engagement of the Mayor Bowders in our, everything that we do, but we're close to West Oakland, we're close to the Port of Oakland. He sits on our Goods Movement Planning Committee, and we're going to do a lot more of the quiet zone type project and improve the Port of Oakland as well. So we look forward to many of these projects moving forward in the future. And again, I want to say congratulations to you all, the city of Emeryville, and to the city council, to all the great staff that you have here, and to you, Mr. Mayor, for all your good work. And you champion a lot of good bike and ped projects, and we're happy about that. So with that, happy bike to work and bike to school day. Because kids are back there. And thank you very much for allowing me to speak to you this morning.
If Tess could also raise her hand and wave. Tess is Deputy Director at ACTC, and I sit on the Policy and Planning Committee, and she is the staff member who I get to speak to regularly, and appreciate you coming out here today as well. I also want to, they're not here today, but I also need to give recognition to the State of California Department of Parks and Recreation. Under Proposition 84, the city of Emeryville received $800,000 to complete this as a park. And so we want to make sure that we take a moment and thank them as well. Also, I want to recognize someone else who's here today who shows up at the transportation. Where are you, Dave Campbell? Hey, Dave Campbell. So Dave Campbell and Bike East Bay have been amazing partners to the city of Emeryville, our council, and our residents, and the people who live in Berkeley and Oakland who bike through Emeryville and around the north part of the East Bay here in Alameda County. And so I just want to take a moment and thank you for all of your advocacy, for showing up on time, everything that we do to make sure that bikes are represented. And a lot of the stuff that we see here is due to the advocacy that you do at Bike East Bay, so thank you. Okay, a couple other people to thank, and then actually more than a couple, and then a few remarks, and then we'll get to business. So Broken Rack and Honor Bar, where are they? Are you in the crowd here? Are they down serving drinks? There's Marilyn. Marilyn Boucher, owner of the Broken Rack, has generously provided food down there at the back door of the Broken Rack. So please introduce yourself to Marilyn and thank her for coming out here today. I know this is a project she's been waiting to have happen for a long time. And I don't see Honor Bar. Are they? Oh, hey there. Hiding over in the bushes. Thank you. We have beverages, I've been told.
Beverages and pie.
Beverages and pie. Sounds like a great way to start the day. So make your way down there after we finish this event and enjoy some of that. Thank you for sponsoring this today. I also want to thank city councils. I want city councils, and I say councils and not members to start, because the Greenway has actually been a project that the city of Emeryville has been working on for almost 20 years, and it would be a dereliction of my duty if I did not take time to thank all the council members who came before the five of us who are here today, whose work on the northern segments of the Greenway really got the ball moving on this project. And it just feels like a baton has been passed off, and we are just doing our part to continue that good work here in Emeryville. So I want to thank the prior members of the City Council in the last 20 years for their work and leadership on this. And then I want to recognize and thank Vice Mayor Ali Medina is here today. There she is. Councilmember Diane Martinez is here. Councilmember Christian Patz is here. And Councilmember and bike enthusiast Scott Donahue is also here today. And an artist. This is a perfect day for you, Scott. So, a couple other people we want to thank. We couldn't do anything in this city without our staff, and so I need to thank three people on staff in particular today, and I hope that you'll come up here and introduce yourselves. And so you met Amber Evans. Where's Amber? There's Amber. So Amber is our project and grants manager, and Amber had a lead role in overseeing this project. Mike Roberts is over here. Mike Roberts is our engineer and construction manager for this project. And Emmy Terrio is over here, and Emmy is our arts manager. And so a great combination of city staff work together to get this done. I also have a few special thank yous. We will be revealing a dedication plaque for the Greenway in a little bit. And I want to thank McGuire and Hester, who are general contractors who put the project together. I want to thank Mark McClure. Is Mark here? I want to thank Mark McClure from California Capitol. So you'll see a dedication plaque in a moment, and it's actually mounted on two historic rails that were actually rails from the system that this is part of previously. And they were down at the Oakland Port Yard, and thanks to Michael Colbruno, who's also here, I was put in touch with him, and we said, hey, we're going to have this ceremony. We want to do something memorial to actually fit the character of this space, and they generously gave us two of the historic rails from this, which have been used to help dedicate this space. And I want to thank Chris Stotka of Industrial Railways for the installation, Calendar and Associates for doing the design of the plaque, and Independent Machine Works who did the welding to pull the plaque and the rails together for us. So thank you to all of them. If we could give them a round of applause, I'd appreciate that. Okay, so before we get to the formalities, I want to give one more shout out to Charlie Bryant. And Charlie Bryant is the Community Development Director. But some of you don't know that Charlie Bryant is also the resident historian of Emeryville. Charlie Bryant knows more about the history of Emeryville's planning and development than any of us combined. Okay, and so I got my history lesson on this little piece of land, a serious history lesson, and so I have condensed what you would all have to get 3 college credits for. down to a few minutes of history on the actual history of this space. And it's really worth knowing because we are doing something innovative. And when you see the plaque that was put together, I think you'll really see it's a symbol of that kind of transformation here in the city. Back in 1911, this rail spur was created, okay, as part of a system that was called the Southern Pacific Interurban Electric Railway. And it was a different system than the Key system. Some of you may know what the Key system is, and that served, it was a train service of its own. It served southern Emeryville and Oakland mostly. But the IER, the Interurban Electric Railway, was a loop, and it was called, this line was called Route 5. It was the Route 5 route, and it went straight up from 7th Street in Oakland, up here, through there on the north part of the Greenway to Doyle Street, connected to 9th Street in Berkeley, and it did a loop in the East Bay, included Solano Avenue, Shattuck, and there was a loop. And within 30 minutes, you could take one of these you could take the train, the Route 5 train, and you could go to San Francisco within 30 minutes.
What's happened?
What's happened, Scott says. Well, cars got in the way. And so what used to happen is the rail would actually come down here, and it would go down to what's called the Oakland Mole, which is at the end of 7th Street in Oakland, which is now where our port is. And you could, from there, get onto what was the lower deck of the Bay Bridge. And the lower deck of the Bay Bridge at the time served trains. Most people don't, I did not know all, I knew some of that, but not all of that. And it used to serve trains, and so between about 1939 and 1941, Route 5 took people from Emeryville who worked here and vice versa to the Trans-Bay Terminal in San Francisco and served people via train. So the whole southern deck of the bridge was committed to train traffic. What an amazing thing that would be if we had that back today, right? We don't have a southern deck on this span, but great concept. That was a very short-lived concept for Route 5. The Key system, by contrast, continued to be a commuter across the Bay Bridge until 1958. So there was train service until 1958 across the Bay Bridge. But in 1941, Route 5 became the 9th Street drill track, and it turned over from being a commuter train rail to a train rail that served all the industry that was booming here in Emeryville at the time. And one of the main recipients of those train services was a place called Liquid Sugar. Does anyone here live in Liquid Sugar? We have a couple residents from Liquid Sugar. Okay. So this is how small Emeryville is. So Liquid Sugar, which is located between 65th and 7th Streets, was a corn syrup manufacturing company, and went under the name the California Syrup Company. And so corn syrup used to come up here and be delivered, and they used to make soda products at Liquid Sugar. They used to put the corn syrup together for your soda beverages. A number of other deliveries would come up here on this route. And that service continued until 2001. And I'm not lying because it's right there on the cement. It's the end of the line. And so up until 2001, which if it's crazy if you think about it, 17 years ago, trains used to serve industrial goods through the space we're standing in today. And that concluded on Doyle Street tracks in Doyle Street and other parts of Berkeley as well. And the city slowly, the city and other cities, we pulled the train tracks out. The last train came through in September of 2001. And the city, under Charlie and prior city council's leadership, began the process of turning and converting this old rail spur into a bike pedestrian space that was outdoors. It gave people an urban greenscape. It gave people access to recreation and social activities. And so with the help of developers on the north side of the city, so Pulte Homes in particular built a lot of the projects we have on the north side, the city extracted as a concession for some of those projects, including Liquid Sugar, that the developer would actually build the segments of the Greenway. So everything, the city limits property, the Liquid Sugar property, the Glass House property, and Wareham did the piece that's just across from us here that goes between Powell Hollis and 59th Street. The Wareham building added that last segment before today's. We have historically extracted that as part of development, and this project was funded from a number of grants. We've already talked about how that's done, and we have a little more to go. So the Greenway includes the bike lane that you'll see on Stanford as it goes down to Horton Street, and if you get down to that corner and you're not familiar with this project, you'll see a big open brown space between the Griffles Garage and the city's corporation yard building. And that's because the Greenway is not quite finished, and within the next 5 years, we are going to have that greenway will extend down to the railroad track, and then there will be a full greenway that goes all the way down the side of the railroad track to the Oakland border, and we will have a complete bikeway between the city of Oakland at our southwest corner and the city of Berkeley at our northeast corner. So we're really within 20 years to convert an entire rail spur. I mean, for context, no other city is doing this like this. No other city has really taken the lead on this, and so I just want to thank Charlie for his work, because I think it's very easy to overlook how much planning is required to do that, because it's not just like you pull some railroad tracks out and you lay some bike path down. It's a lot more complicated than that. Financing is complicated, so I want to thank you and your department, and I want to thank the prior city councils and the current city council for helping make all that happen. There was a lot more in my 101 on rail spurs. I don't think I want to say anything else about that right now, other than I think we need to move to a ribbon cutting. Yay! They say yes. That's the way of saying yes. So I would like to ask if Vice Mayor Medina and Councilmember Martinez would help us jointly cut this. So we'll do a picture first, I think. Or you want to do it? 1, 2, 3. In a moment, I'm going to call up Joey Rose. He's standing over here with the lay, and he's from Joey Rose Studio. And the piece behind us is called Ascend, and it's continued on the larger Broken Rack building over there. And the city of Emeryville has been an innovator when it comes to public art, not just transportation issues. We require a 1% contribution of construction value from every project that's developed here in the city of Emeryville to our public art program. And that puts us far ahead of most of the cities in the Bay Area in terms of our requirement for public art. And recently we adopted a public art master plan, which calls for the creation of a public art mural program. And our public art committee, who's here from the public art committee? Can you raise your hands? I see Sharon, I see Edith, Judy, a bunch of folks. There's a lot of great people here from the public art committee, and I want to thank them for their good work on this. They decided to begin with a pilot mural art project. So the goal of the city in the long term is to actually have more murals like this throughout the community, to actually bring to life some of the big spaces we have where there's an opportunity for art. And so the first idea that they had was, let's pilot this. Let's actually see what we can learn from putting murals into public spaces. How could we make the program better? How could we make choices about the art we select in the future? And so the very first such mural in the city under this program is Ascend, which is behind me. I'm going to invite Joey to speak up here in a second. And the pilot project went through a very iterative process. There were 15 artists who were from Northern and Southern California that submitted proposals. It was the one that was chosen by the Public Art Committee through a selection of a subcommittee and then the committee itself, and it made its way to the City Council, where we also endorsed this project. I'm gonna save all the details about the project for Joey, but I just want to give a brief bio of him. So he's a Bay Area artist, and clearly you can see that he's an exceptionally talented person as well. And we found him to be a very communicative person who has really got the interest of beautifying the Greenway at his heart as well. And there's a playfulness to the depictions behind us, which, you know, there's a lot of insects. People say, well, why? There's actually a lot of insects in the Bay Area are endangered or at risk of going away. We talk about bees in the news. It's not just bees. And so the insects that are up here are all native insects, and they actually speak a very interesting story. And so the mural is light and colorful, but it also is a very serious conversation piece about the future of conservationism and art and ecology. And so to put this along Peladeau Park in a green space where we have really promoted outdoor active transit engagement and environmental stewardship is a really great combination. So without further ado, I would like to invite Joey to come up here and say a few words.
Hi, I'm Joey Rose of Joey Rose Studio. Yes, I painted these two murals. That's the #1 question I got this whole month. So are you the artist? Yes, I'm the artist. So I'm going to start out by thanking a couple people. Of course, the city of Emeryville for providing this awesome opportunity for me, and hopefully more public artists to come. Emmy, my project manager, thank you so much. I don't know where you are.
Something for you.
Okay, she's doing something right now for me. Marilyn of the Broken Rack for letting me paint on your wall and helping me out through this whole month. Also, the owners of Honor Bar, this building they're renting out. And Brian from Honor Bar, he was very helpful. The building owners and the Entomology Museum of UC Berkeley, I actually collaborated with them on identifying these bugs. Pete's the man. Yeah, and everyone who came by and said hi and just gave me support along the way. I don't know why Emeryville is called the Rotten City, because everyone here is like the happiest, like nicest people on the planet Earth. And the city council members for voting yes for this project, the Public Art Committee for picking my design out of 15 designs. And then now I'll talk a little bit about the concept. So the title is Ascend. There's two ways you can interpret the total concept of these two combined murals. The first one is the Greenway, is as an escape from everyday life, from city. It's kind of a green escape. And so the two figures you could see as escaping from the industrial part of the city. That's the first way. The second concept was the two figures represented as humankind, literally and figuratively being carried by nature. And nature is represented by, as the mayor said, these native Bay Area bugs. Again, the Essig Museum of Entomology helped me out with that. And even the little guys are important to the ecosystem, so make sure you pay attention to every part of this ecosystem here in the bay. And eventually we're going to have signs that identify each of the bugs here. Okay, now I'll maybe answer some most commonly asked questions that I got here while I was painting. Are you getting paid to do this? Yes. I'm very proud to say that I am an artist and I get paid for doing art, and I'm paying the bills with art. Second question, where did you learn to paint? Actually, CCA, California College of the Arts, down in Oakland and San Francisco as part of the illustration program. My painting teacher, Randy Chavez, is in the back there. I'd like to thank him as well. And my first art teacher, my mom, Paula Rose. How long have you been painting? My entire life. As I said, my mom is an art teacher, so I grew up with it. And then how long did it take? 1 month exactly it took to paint both of these murals. So that one took 3 weeks, this one took 1 week here at the end. Okay, and we're gonna walk down there to get refreshments, and if you guys have any other questions, feel free to come up and say hi to me and ask. I also have business cards if you guys need them. Thanks, bye.
So with that, one more thank you to Emmy and the Public Art Committee for your work in selecting Joey and his mural design. And with that, there are refreshments down. Oh, we're doing it here or down there?
Down there.
Oh, there's a raffle. Things that I'm trying. There's a raffle down there, so we will have a raffle drawing. I believe, oh yes, Joey will select a raffle and we'll read off some winners. So join us down there for the raffle, and we're passing out some information on the mural, and there is food and beverage at the other end. But thank you for coming today and celebrating the Greenway and all the great people who helped make this possible. Have a great day.